Good morning. So the first electronic cigarette was patented in August of 1965 by Herbert A. Gilbert. It was designed to be a smokeless alternative to cigarettes. The first product and the most recent innovation of contemporary e-cigarettes was introduced by a Chinese pharmacist in 2003 to be a possible cessation device. In the following years, the e-cigarette was patented by the U.S. as a substitution for cessation products and a cigarette substitute. But nowadays, e-cigarettes seem to be the latter, with no quitting in sight. So my claim of fact is that e-cigarette companies appeal and advertise to adolescents. The reasons why I make this claim is because, one, the wide range of nicotine flavors associated with increased e-cig. The wide range of nicotine flavors is associated with the increase in e-cigarette use in adolescents, but not necessarily for adults. Two, the e-cigarette companies have used youth advertising concepts to target adolescents. And three, e-cigarette advertisements can be found and accessed almost everywhere. Now, the first main point, nicotine flavors. There's a wide range of them. In 2009, the sale of flavored tobacco cigarettes was banned except for menthol, but that doesn't apply for e-cigarettes. In 2014, Oberlin College, in conjunction with Yale School of Medicine, conducted an anonymous survey of 590 adults and 396 adolescents. Adolescents reported that they preferred the flavors that were fruit, vanilla, candy or dessert, and alcohol flavors, while adults preferred flavors that didn't appeal to younger populations, such as menthol, mint, coffee, and spice. This past November, Jamie Rumbrich from CNN reported that the FDA has plans to place restriction on the sale of e-cigarette flavors except for menthol. This further proves that the flavors appeal to adolescents, and appealing nicotine flavors is not the only thing e-cigarettes have conjured up to target adolescents. Which brings me to my second point. E-cigarette companies have used youth advertising concepts to target adolescents. According to a study published in the Tobacco Regulatory Science Journal, 154 e-cig video advertisements were measured using the Content Appealing to Youth Index, which is the K index. The K index measures the production value, character appeal, youth-oriented theme, product appeal, and rewarding appeals of these brands. All of the ads included something from the K index, with emotional appeals to happiness, friendship, sex appeal, and success. Some of these ads also include celebrity endorsements in which adolescents can easily identify. E-cigarette advertisements are unregulated and have some form of appeal to the underage population. E-cigarette marketing is not only found on video ads, but it can be found almost anywhere, which brings me to my third point. It can be found anywhere. Yeah. With no federal regulations to limit e-cigarette advertisements, they can be found on TV, radio, billboards, retail stores, and the internet. In 2014, a survey was conducted to determine where middle and high school students in Texas were most commonly exposed to e-cigarette advertisements, and if the student had already used e-cigarette products in the past 30 days. It was concluded that the adolescents were exposed to ads in retail stores and the internet the most. The data also suggested that adolescents were more susceptible to e-cigarettes because of these ads. 13% of those students believe e-cigarettes were not harmful. This goes to show how much of an impact these advertisements have on a younger generation. In conclusion, the e-cigarette companies appeal and advertise to adolescents because of the wide range of appealing flavors, youth appeal content, and their advertisements. And their exposure and accessibility of the advertisements. E-cigarette companies only need to invest their money to appeal to adolescents, and they will be set for the future. Just think about this. According to the CDC, in 2018, more than 3.6 million middle school and high school students use e-cigarettes. So just think about that.
All right, well, the proposition's identified. I think it needs to also kind of make a stronger claim. It simply describes at the moment something that is going on, that there's a consequence to this, that there's something harmful, or that there's something untoward about this, which I think is mostly implied here, needs to be developed a little bit more to show that this is really an argument. The notion that that the e-cigarette companies are seeking to develop a new consumer base for their product, that they're actively trying to expand it, that they are, basically skirting the rules that might have applied to traditional forms of tobacco as a way of reaching this audience. I think that that definitely sounds like there's something that's problematic here. And the way you've got the claim phrase doesn't make it sound nearly as ominous as it needs to be. I think you need to make the argument sound a little bit more like there's something definitely problematic here and not merely descriptive. The secondary points are labeled very clearly, and I think that makes it easy to follow. Although there's a little bit of inconsistency between the first point in the preview and when you present it in the body of the speech. I know what the argument is basically the same, but the language changes a little bit. The history of the e-cigarette as an attention device is fine at the beginning of the speech. I think you have pretty good information about how the flavor issue is being exploited by the companies. You do present some factual data that I think you need to give us a source site on. There's a ban on flavors in traditional tobacco. I'm sure that that's true. If it's an FDA ruling, you should be able to cite it without any problem. There's another one that says that the sales of these things are unregulated, and that's another thing that's probably true. It's a piece of factual data, but I think I need to know I need to have a place that I can hang that up, because if this is unregulated and kids can buy this without any restrictions, then I think there really is an argument here that suggests that this is problematic. If on the other hand there are the traditional restrictions on purchasing of these products, then I'm not sure that you have reached the critical mass point for the argument that you're making on that first issue. The other information is cited pretty effectively. I think you did a good job explaining the one study that uses the K index, although it does sound like it's a little bit generic, because all of the things that are described in there I think would appeal to most people. It's not just that kids are going to find all those things. The happiness is not necessarily just a child-centered emotion. So I'm sure there's a reason that works, and it's probably a very traditional tool that's used in doing research in that field, and so it seems reasonably applicable here. Just the description that you gave, although it gives us some details, it also makes it sound less like it's specific to kids. Let's see. Like I said, I think the evidence is generally pretty solid. I think you are reading way too much, and sometimes you come across as if you are not familiar with what your own argument is at times as a consequence. This is one of those things where some additional practice probably would have made a difference and enhanced your credibility a little bit. You get stuck, not so much stuck on a word. I mean, as soon as you figure out what the word is, but it doesn't seem like it's flowing very smoothly. There's a hesitation as you're going from one idea to the next. Like you're not quite sure what the sentence is saying or what the argument ultimately is going to be, and you want to sound very confident on those things, and sometimes I think that that's a problem. So I think that that's mostly a delivery issue. Content, I think, is relatively solid. All right, thank you.